South African Home Affairs Minister Dr. Aaron Motswaledi paid a courtesy visit to his Lesotho counterpart, Minister Lebona Lephema, at the Maseru Bridge on Saturday. Minister Motswaledi also witnessed the implementation of the 2022-23 Border Law Enforcement Festive Plan as travellers return to the country. Meanwhile, the two ministers agreed to schedule bilateral talks in the next 2 weeks ahead of the signing of the binational cooperation signing that will be led by President Cyril Ramaphosa and his counterpart, Prime Minister Sam Matekane. SABC News correspondent Rapelang Khadebe joins us now to tell us a little bit more about this. Rapelang, Happy New Year to you. I know it's been a busy time for you. And a busy day given the minister's trip. Tell us a little bit about what it was all about.
Indeed, it has been, and I think I want to apologize. I think my system seems to have not returned from the holidays as yet, so my package couldn't quite go through. But yes, indeed, to go through, Minister Motswaledi paid a courteous visit to his counterpart in Lesotho, Minister Lebona Lephema, who is now the new Minister of Home Affairs. It was his first visit, and he thought, since he was around in the neighborhood in Mangaung, he said, let him actually go and see the implementation of the long-awaited Border Management Authority that was now, has been in place, I think, for a few months now, but has officially kick-started. Also to see the plans that they had for the smooth return of those who were visiting South Africa, those who were visiting Lesotho and vice versa, and now returning home. But I think of most important is that Lesotho is soon to sign the binational agreement between South Africa and Lesotho, of which one of the key anticipated topics, I think, in it is the smooth trade facilitation, security issues that tends to boil on many of those in the neighboring, stock theft and other issues. But I think of key importance also is seeing Lesotho as an enclaved country with a unique geographic position. The freedom of movement will be a highly anticipated topic of which they want to know how they will deal with it and how that issue will impact from citizens on both sides.
All right, so was there a lot of movement between the borders at this time?
It was indeed. I think around the past 2 days was the peak of the movement when people are now returning to work, others from South Africa into Lesotho and vice versa. So yes, there was quite a hectic movement, but I think also the presence of the officials also exacerbated things, because now I think the officials want to be seen extra busy and extra vigilant in doing their work, and so that the ministers can really see. But I think it's a unique circumstances because so much of Basotho work in South Africa, and it's like a pilgrimage at this time of the year, and now they are all returning. So all the borders at this time, I think, are at their peak, which is quite important that the movement is facilitated such that people and goods can move as free, but also without jeopardizing the security of both countries.
All right. The Zimbabwe special permit came into sharp focus last year and a bit of this year. What a lot of people may not realize is that there are Basotho nationals who also hold a special permit of some kind. What is the status of that? That doesn't seem to be being discussed much.
That is true, and it is up for renewal at the end of December this year. So that is one of the questions that actually dominated, to understand how will it be renewed? Will it also face the similar circumstances with Zimbabwe? But I think an answer to that problem should emanate from the binational agreement, because that is what is supposed to have a long-term solution to the long-standing problem. In as much as you have similar SADC laws that apply equally, your common visas and stuff, the truth is that the situation or the uniqueness of the geographical situation of Lesotho demands that you have a different approach to that particular. That is why it was important that the two ministers should actually sit down and have thorough discussions in looking at how best to have a unique situation that can address an unusual circumstances of a country that is enclaved inside. There's no other neighbor that Lesotho has. Therefore, if one person is considered an undesirable for 5 months, for 5 years, actually, the only way you can skip out of South Africa is taking a plane from to OR, such that it can be in transition to another country. But otherwise, we know that is not an option for your ordinary Mosotho who is no longer allowed in South Africa, but wants to go and bury a relative in Botswana or in Zimbabwe. Their only option is when they have to use the OR Tambo. They cannot do that using your common border. So these are unique issues that says, are you really saying now that person can no longer have a movement because South Africa, being the only neighbor, cannot allow that person for the period of 5 years. In as much as it was said, yeah, those are issues that can be dealt with. The minister has the power to revoke that. We know how complex, and it is quite a painful process to go through that. And for somebody who hardly have a passport to cross through, it's quite a technical exercise for an ordinary Mosotho, I think.
All right, border law enforcement, another issue. We've had conversations in the past about human trafficking that's been taking place over time. Is that something that they've sat down to talk about amongst other issues as well?
Absolutely, you are correct, yes. For Lesotho, I think they have taken it quite seriously. The issue of dealing with humans in traffic gained a significant mileage even with the Prime Minister. It was also good to see Minister Lephema also taking it into sharp focus, such that there are still quite a number of incidences that involve. Some extent people even resorting to cross from the rivers because they have been lured by bogus employers who promises them wonders and miracles on the name that they will have good returns, and people resorting to excessive measures. But I think it came into sharp focus that this is something that is worrisome, not only between the two countries, but it has become a sharp focus for international world and other countries that may want to have trade between the two countries to know that people are actually sensitized to these issues, and such that the countries and the governments seem to be doing enough to address this particular issue. So yes, it came into sharp focus, and I think it will get much more attention going forward.
Ntate Khadebe, ke a leboga. Have a great year ahead, my brother.
It looks like blankets are flying all over. I hope yours is coming.
Absolutely. That's one of our correspondents, regular contributor from Lesotho, Rapelang Khadebe. And I've got to brag and boast about him a little bit because the SABC was recognized by the Basotho as the premium, most trusted news brand. And it's because of people like him that we get that accolade.